Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Trevor.
Today we're going to show you how solar cells work. Solar cells involve photovoltaic cells, which convert photons to electrons, and they're usually in your light-powered calculators that make them turn on and off without the use of batteries. Photovoltaic cells are made out of semiconductors, and the most commonly used semiconductor is silicon. The problem with silicon is it's very reflective and it doesn't conduct electricity well. So to start by using silicon, they would put in anti-reflective material on it so that it wouldn't reflect the sunlight. And much learned in chemistry, when energy hits a cell, it knocks an electron loose. And silicon, being not having a full outer ring, wants to connect with other silicons. This forms a crystalline structure. When silicon is by itself, it's a very bad conductor of electricity because there's not a lot of electrons to move about in this crystalline structure. Using a process called doping, we make these impurities in this cell, and every 1 million atoms of the silicon, we add phosphorus. And this phosphorus has 5 electrons in its outer shell. This gives more electrons to move freely about this set of atoms with silicon and phosphorus, and they're called free carriers. When you add more electrons to this starting cell, you get a negative charge because electrons have a negative charge, and this is why it's called an N-type cell, an N-type silicon, which is a lot more conductive than pure silicon. On the other end, you have P-type silicon, which instead of making it more negative by adding electrons, you actually have it doped with boron, and boron has 3 valence electrons. This gives a chance for more electrons to come to boron instead of, like phosphorus, the electrons moving away without the structure. Now, it really gets crazy when both of these N-types and P-types collide together. This is really what makes the solar cell. It wouldn't be a solar cell without an electric field. So what happens is the negative type and the positive type silicon actually collide, and there's a mad rush to fill all the separate spaces that these electrons can fill. Now, not all of them can fill these gaps. Only a few sort of them come into the center of the clash and start to bond. And this creates an electric field. This electric field acts as a diode, allowing the electrons from the positive side to flow to the negative side. It's referred to as a hill because things from the negative side can't go up the hill to the positive side, but things from the positive side, the electrons, can slide down this hill to the other side, which would be the negative side, to make it more negative. When photons from the sunlight act as an energy to release the electrons from these gaps, the electrons, if they come close enough to the magnetic field in the middle of this bond between the N and the P type, it will create more voltage in the middle. We use a current, an external current, to flow the electrons from the positive side to the negative side. And this, with a current and a voltage, creates power, is what we need from a solar cell. All of these solar cells put together form modules, and these modules are put onto boards that create your solar panel.
And if you're looking to install solar panels on your house, there are a few simple things you need to know before you decide. First, your solar panel should be inclined at a certain angle as close to the area's latitude as possible to absorb the most energy per year. And of course, the panel should never be shaded by nearby trees or buildings because this would significantly decrease the power production of these solar panels. Even though the sunlight is free, the solar panels are not. The panels come in a hefty price, but they eventually pay themselves off. As of 2009, per watt is $8 to $10, but typically the larger the system, it will cost less per watt. Depending on how the solar panel is set up, it can pay itself off with surplus energy in the eventual years. And it can also increase your home value by numerous amounts. And as of recent studies, homeowners have claimed that they have cut their electrical bills by using these solar panels by at least 50%. And here's Matt with some solar panel facts.
In recent years, most experts have studied how electricity has been used and consumed throughout America. The amount of U.S. electricity that comes from coal is around 43%, natural gas 23%, nuclear energy 20%, and other renewable resources 3.6%. Petroleum is the lowest at 1%. Most people are unaware of this, but some experts assert that the global civilization is firmly planted in the golden years of the coal era. Without taking into the account of embedded costs in coal mining, distribution, and burning for energy, coal-powered electricity is cheap. This will not always be the case, though. U.S. electricity prices increase at a rate of 6% per year without these changes. Solar energy has already reached what is called grid purity. It's as cheap as coal-based electricity in some areas, and it could become cheaper because it's not as expensive to mine, produce, and send out.
The Earth receives about 1,366 watts of direct solar radiation per square meter. That's an incredible amount of energy. In fact, it has been estimated that the total surface area required to power the world with solar energy is only around 366,375 square kilometers. The amount of solar energy and solar radiation that goes to waste is 99.99%. That energy can be harnessed by the solar panels.
All in all, solar energy is not so expensive, it pays itself off, it helps out our Earth, and it completely reduces the amount of coal we use for electricity. As you all know, coal produces a lot of pollution. Solar panels can greatly reduce that, and we recommend it highly.